But this is the real world, kids. This isn't a happy slappy. But he's 25 years old now and he's rich. And he said he bought I forget what kind of car, some piece of shit, a couple $100,000, but anyway, it was a piece of shit. And he said that, I wouldn't like to admit it, but the better clothes and the better car, they're ass magnets, meaning they attract women. I go, really? Whose podcast did you hear that on? But naively, he says, I didn't really want to believe that because he was a religious kid too. But it's true. You don't tell me. And I said, don't share any experiences with me, please. But this is the real world. This isn't, and I tell you it's hard, where everybody else tells you it's easy. But I have nothing more to sell you. I have no upsell. From me, the only man on the planet to call negative oil, which I was, who called at least 4 COVID waves, which I did, said early in 2021, inflation was not transitory, which I did. You may not like the messenger, but don't heed the message at your own peril. Black swans come in different forms. And as I said in 320, COVID would be with us forever. That's why the sovereign one's calling. For whatever reason, I don't see the future, but I'm fucking super smart. And I'm smarter than 99.999% of the people on the fucking planet. And I used to try to give this to you. Why weren't you at my free deals? I try to give it to you. I try to spoon feed you. I try to shove it down your fucking throat with a shovel. But those models didn't work. I used to be run down in India by the people selling shit on the streets. I used to try to give it free there too. They laughed at me. You can just imagine. There is no such word as free in India. It doesn't translate. This first day was easy. We're going to get down to the nut fucking cutting tomorrow. And I better see a difference in this fucking home or we're going to send everybody home. When I went through some of my tougher training in the military, let's say that we're a platoon. We're about the size of a platoon. And she fucks something up, we all pay the price. We all run an extra 20 miles. In the 90s, if somebody fucked something up, the whole class suffered. And they had what's called blanket parties, when 4 or 5 of the guys would come into your room and kick the shit out of you for fucking things up that day. And they never fucked up again, women included. So you're not serious. It's obvious to me. I'm going to get tougher. Let's see if I can get any of you to quit. Oh, I never quit. Really? We'll see. It's like the guy that shit his pants. I knew I was alive when I shat myself. We'll see how tough this fucking group is. I already know the answer. So you better get fucking serious, because I'm not here for my good health. I'm here to add numbers to my numbers. That's all. You're a means to an end to me. And some of you are less of a means to an end to me. And for our 4'4" young lady over there in the corner, who says she's 5'4", she's only off about a foot. Remember, as the girls say, women think that's 6 inches for about 300 years, because that's what they're, Okay, Greta. I find it interesting that one of the leading spokespersons for global warming is a girl that goes to China and said that if you chop down less trees, you don't need to make as many chopsticks. Well, chopsticks aren't made out of trees. They're made out of bamboo. Pardon? Yeah. Yet everybody listens to her. Not everybody, but I mean, a lot of people. That girl should have had the shit slapped out of her she was about 3 or 4 or 5 years old, with a whip, like they do in India. Any questions? Okay, if there's no questions, kids, who's my question? Yes, sir.
The home care. Once you have some acquisitions, I believe you recommend we actually sleep and work there for management purposes.
The first 6 months, depending on how, I say this with food in my mouth and tongue in cheek, depending on how quick a learner you are, I can't even say it out loud, you're gonna live there at least 3 months to 6 months. Live on the premises. Pull the dead bodies out. It's a horrid thing to say, but assisted living is a numbers game. As they die, you got to replace them. Everything in life is a numbers game. Yeah, 3 to 6 months, probably 6 months. You want to understand the business. And then as you go, now when you have your 5th assisted living you bought, and the manager there is telling you something, you know whether it's bullshit or not. And they're all, Andres has, I think, 4 regional managers now. Each regional manager has 4 or 5 units or 4 or 5 stores. Yes, sir.
Do you recommend that the owner stays on for 1, 2, 3 years?
I'll answer it now, but we go through it with a model. If it's 100% seller finance, absolute. Because and if it's commercial debt, if there's a certain part of it is an earn-out. In other words, they're getting more money as they hopefully increase the profits. But you want them tied to, and when we talk later in the week about the 60-40 model, which happens to be the magic number right now, that banks love, sellers love, where you're paying 60% of it, commercial debt, 40% seller's finance. That's kind of the magic model. You want the seller to be there. And so how are you going to keep him incentivized? Well, for every dollar above what the 3 years norm was that we bought you for every $1,000, we're going to give you $200. We'll give you 20% of the uplift. And then all of a sudden, you'll see them produce like they never produced before. Part of the reason these people are selling is they're tired, okay? Many of the people you're going to buy won't have a website. Many people you buy won't even have QuickBooks. QuickBooks. Some of them will even have the money in a cigar box. As crazy as that sounds in 2022, but it's the truth. It's a fucking cigar box, okay? Many of the people that you're going to buy, they are a couple. But both of the couple don't want to sell. One does. But almost 100% of the time, the kids don't want to take over the business. That's the difference. When in caveman days, when your parents' teeth fell out, you chewed the food and put it in their mouth. Well, we're so far away from that now. Now, certain Asian cultures, Chinese, Indian, etc., part of the culture was that, you're going to take care of your parents. You're their pension plan, so to speak. Okay? Well, in certain parts of the world, that still exists. But in the modern fucking world, it doesn't exist. The kids don't want to be the pension plan of the adults. In Hispanic, Mexican, you used to take care of the old people. Well, forget I'm rich. But the last generation that took care of old people was my mother's mother. We took care of her. And then my mother. They've both been gone a long time. So we're at least 1 or 2 generations away from that. The kids don't want to do that. And we're going to give you an opportunity, not just because you could take care of your folks in your assisted living place. I don't think you want to do that. Although we have some of the kids that put their parents in there. I think that's even harsher than I would be. Because the reason why you're only paying $700 to $1,500 a month. They have a full-time nurse, 24 hours. They have a doctor that comes in once or twice a week. And there's 2 or 4 to a bedroom. But somebody's got to bathe them. In the beginning, it's going to be you, kids. Remember that good-looking Chinese kid I just showed you? The first time he ever had to bathe anybody, he had a conniption fit. Bathing somebody was worse than him pulling out a dead body. Some old lady, 100 years old, and you're bathing her private parts. Some old man with a shriveled up dick. I can go on and on. There's a reason why the margins are big. So you want to get away from the day-to-day management as soon as humanly possible after you understand it. And so we're about to clease another deal, the Chinese kid. And I said, how is this like aerospace engineering? He graduated top of his class or something like that. Really smart kid. The only thing I hate worse than this is working in my parents' restaurants. That's the only thing I hate worse. And he said that, but he's at the stage now, he's 2 years into this. I'm ready to move on and have a manager. And in the beginning, we couldn't afford a manager. But the kid, his work ethic was no problem. He was used to working long hours. Some of you, a third of you are going to get sick in the next 2 months. Not corona. You're going to come down because you're going to be working beyond your endurance levels. You're going to be, you're going to come down. You're just going to be exhausted. Because if you're going to make it, this is 80-hour, 90-hour, 100-hour week shit. Minimum. And for those of you that are going to keep another job, something's got to give. And you get sick, and then 2 or 3 months from now, you'll call Kim. How did Mr. Pena know I was going to get sick? And this is not a networking situation. You're not here to chum up because the only thing you're going to share with her is bad habits and negativity. Well, I know the old fart said it was going to be hard, but Jesus Christ, I didn't think it was going to be this hard. We're not out here to share information. And these kids that have these Facebooks, etc., that Pena, but I have nothing to do with those. I don't sponsor any of those. But there's one of them on there with just big hitters. I'm told. I don't know where it is. I don't know the name of it. But guys that have all done a bunch of deals. So, okay. But that's not sponsored by me because you will not share anything positive. You will not share anything positive. And why do I know this? Because I've been doing this almost 30 years. I know what works and what doesn't work. And you become an asshole chums and, having focus groups together. For those of you, fortunately, not too many of you lived close to each other. It's bullshit. It just is, It's an excuse for you to do something else and not QLA. Because just like reading books isn't pulling the trigger, sharing information with you other dipshits isn't pulling the trigger either. And the big guys, like he said, just tell the people don't bother me in the Netherlands. Although he was willing to share again, we're going to call him back in the next couple of months because he's got a new level. Now the kids from a couple of years ago through Corona that had made deals through Corona are at the level of, fuck, we got to manage these fuckers. And And you got to learn to delegate. A couple of you asked me already, when's the right time? I might have mentioned this, to have an assistant. Today, hire one while you're here. Because there's no way, for the most fastidious, detail-oriented, focused person in this room, this is going to be overwhelming, keeping track of all this shit. With all the tools that they have, and it's going to be overwhelming. The only thing I don't delegate is wiping my ass. And when I'm in Asia, I don't wipe my ass. And when my wrist was all fucked up, which is still not cured, I wipe my butt with my right hand. Until this happened, I never wiped my butt with my left hand. And I never brushed my teeth with my left hand my whole life. So as painful as well, I continue to try to wipe my butt with my right hand. But I know, not getting too graphic, I know it wasn't clean. I know that. But I delegate everything. As Kat and EJ will attest to, I don't do anything. I really don't. Because all the really gifted guys that I had the privilege of being around, like Steve Jobs, he delegated everything except using his brain. That's it. And so I would, and having your wife is not the answer, do it, or your significant other. Because then you have to get into too much detail of what you're doing, and they're going to think you're nuts anyway. Having your children, the best assistants I had that weren't permanently on the payroll, I used to hire law students from the law schools. They seem to be the best detail-oriented people. And I've had some good ones. And now they're big-time lawyers, etc. But law students, they understand. Law students are taught from the beginning, get-go, to prioritize. What should be 30 on the list and what should be 1 on the list. Getting them as young as you can is also a big plus. And I've had Kat since she was 19, 20, right? 20, right? Yeah, okay. Now she's 51. She doesn't, Asians don't show the age too much, but the younger the better. But when you make a mistake, because not everybody that goes to law school is a superstar, you got to be able to, you don't give them another chance and another, boom, next. If you remember the analogy, boom, next, for everything in your life, you'll be better off. Boom, next. Now, Sally, my wife, who's a cordon bleu cook, chef, she only gives a restaurant one time chance. Michelin star, one time. And when my wife, 2 bites into the food, when she puts her fork and knife, the way you're supposed to set it when you're done with the meal, I know the meal's over. 1, when we're getting ready to leave, even though I haven't fucking even started my food. And 2, we're never coming back to here. That's it. Remember, you only have one time to make a first impression, kids. And I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. You go to improv, you go to Toastmaster. At the Hard Core, we had Goins, a guy that I met as a young enlisted man in the Air Force. He's gone from crackhead, to not him a crackhead, but in a crackhead neighborhood in Mississippi, someplace. I just graduated from University of Pennsylvania. And I've seen him grow, and he's gone to improv. He's gone to Toastmaster for years. And when he was giving presentations here during the Hard Core, I said, James, you're a pretty polished speaker now. I did what you told me to, sir. I went to improv. I went to, Toastmaster, and he's done a good job. We agreed he should get a sales job at a Tiffany's or someplace where rich people come in and buy expensive stuff. And so he got a job at Tiffany's for a year or 2. Other than him saying that the rich people are all full of shit, which I could have told him that. He didn't have to work at Tiffany's to know that. But they're all pompous and, but he learned how to talk, learned how to speak right. And many of you in this room need the same kind of training. And it's part of the QLA if you're all in. If you're not all in, you made a mistake. Because QLA is all in about every aspect of your life, whether it's a father, a husband, a son, a brother, an entrepreneur. It's about everything in your life. You're upping your game across the board, 100%. And that's not easy, especially when you've got to discard or baraxo 75% of what you learned in life. And one of the reasons it's harder for engineers, lawyers, accountants is because you've learned to think laterally. 1 + 1 = 2. This program isn't that at all. This is 1 to the 5th power times 6 to the 9th power. And so you've got it. That's why it's leaping. Okay, these molecules are leaping. They're leaping bounds, and you can't get across a bound or a canyon in 2 leaps, right? 2 leaps because you're in the bottom. You got to do in 1 leap, and so that means you have to think differently. And just as in certain things, I've already told you about, thinking differently, you will expand your horizons. And when we talk about goals in a few days, where Roberto didn't say it in this webinar. In his first webinar, he says, I can't begin to tell you how my life has changed. Every aspect of my life has changed. And the things that I was afraid to dream about because of my innate insecurity. And now, he's not an insecure guy. He was pretty much this way even before he got rich. But compared to his thought process now is significantly different. His thought process is significantly different. And part of which, training by me, and part of which, when you get a bunch of money, fuck you money. Fuck you money will be different for everybody in this room. Fuck you money can be 25 million, 500 million, a billion. And I'm sorry to say, for some of you, 5 million. But I'd be disingenuous if I didn't tell you that. People say, I want to make $1 billion. They get $50 million. I never hear from them again. I got countless of those. I want $1 billion. The guy makes 18 million. I never hear from him again. Talks cheap. Okay, who's my 530? 6. Oh, we're going to have fun, huh? 6:30. Okay. Okay, kids, do your homework well, please. I'm asking you nice. Yep. You have a question or you?
No, I have a question.
Sure.
So since my homework was total shit, what are you looking for?
Okay, well, no. Okay, if that's all you have to say about what your homework assignment is, either you're retarded, you're being a smart ass, or you don't care. Which is it? You don't know. Okay. You went through it it's like me. Let's say your brother, you have a brother?
Yes.
Okay, let's say this Chinese guy's your brother. He died this morning. And you say, okay, what's next in the seminar? That's the kind of response that when I read your homework. I asked you to write about 3 things. All the things, what's your takeaway? You're not bright enough, you're not gifted enough to give me the takeaway on 3 things in 2 sentences. What's your takeaway? What was your takeaway? You're going to do the homework again. I mean, what do you think I was message I was sending you about the reverse bike? Don't tell me now. What message was I trying to, send you? What ethnicity are you?
Mexican-American.
A pendejo. Fuck. That used to hurt me 25 years ago, but it doesn't anymore. Because I thought I could save all the fucking pendejos. Do you know I'm the leading pendejo on the planet? The leading Mexican? That and 10 cents wouldn't buy you fuck all. I want you to put your heart and soul into the answer. Where are you from?
San Diego.
Right across the border. Oh, but I have fun in Tijuana. Oh, God, I could give a whole seminar about that. By the Mexican mafia guys from Tijuana. San Diego. Yep. He says it. Bulls don't fuck girls on the stage anymore, Dad. Oh, yeah. Well, he says, Dan, when you went... And I said, well, God, we've missed part of Americana. We've missed part of... Now, I have a cousin from Santa Barbara to San Diego, a cousin my family owned from Santa Barbara to San Diego. And in 1585, he gave it to the Spanish government. The biggest pendejo in the history of Mexicans. He had land grants for all that land, which would be a gazillionaire. And I look at it, he's a moron. Part of my family, since nobody else has ever done anything, well, at least we had part of California. See, we're not also-rans. I want you to put, you're a bright kid. Show